Welcome back to Raid Guides in a Trench Coat featuring Duality. The dungeon, not the gun. Although that said, this dungeon does make me want to use that shotgun to re-enter the old tribute hall, which, come to think of it, would be incredible to have in its full splendor to damage chest-crafted weapons now that we have those, but it seems as though Eris has gone to town on converting it to be her personal estro den instead of Callus's testosterone home. She's gonna monologue at you for the length of an unskippable Crunchyroll ad break before opening a portal deeper into the bowels of the Leviathan. Traverse through the more dilapidated Season of Opulence halls in the inner Leviathan as you search for an out-of-bounds exploit that'll let you clip back into the menagerie. Here you'll be introduced to the bell mechanic. Ring the bell to trigger the fire alarm and send the entirety of the dungeon into red alert, opening gates to allow for the evacuation of non-essential personnel as you delve deeper into check for survivors, of which you are actively reducing the number of. As a completely sensical security measure, the fire alarm can only be safely turned off from a short range, as anyone trying to disable it from afar will have their neck wrung and their ghost summoned. This trick also works on fireteam members who happen to be lagging behind. The play here is to activate the bells from far away to remove the security cages they're in and then parkouring your way over to turn them back off, allowing you to progress further inside. This repeats a near obscene number of times unless you ignore this bell in favor of free falling down to this open maintenance shaft and then effectively skipping half of the screen encounter jaunt. As an aside, a fun little Easter egg in this video is that every one of the backing tracks for this guide is a song called Ring My Bell with a Y or Ring Ma Bell with an A. It was too good of an opportunity to pass up for a joke that usually only I would see, but some of these songs get a little bubblegummy for the nightmare horror red alert vibe that this dungeon has going for it, so I saw it fit to expose it for the artistic choice that it was, rather than the mistake it's been sounding like. Anyways, with the bell tutorial out of the way, enter this cargo bay looking room and then prepare for the first encounter. Galron is back, except instead of being 2 raid bosses worth of mechanics, he and 12 of his clones have been reduced to the lackluster council of a dungeon boss, which in hindsight kinda foreshadowed Callus becoming a story boss. In either case, when the encounter begins you'll have to kill 2 of these bell keepers to manifest the bell of the ball so that you can flip into the nightmare realm and confront the beast. That said, years in the Destiny content vault has made Galron quite resilient, which means it's time to learn about the standards mechanic, which accompanies the bell, to really elongate the solo player experience on this one. The 4 side rooms are open in the Nightmare Realm, and at any given time, 2 of them will have a pack of War Beasts and a Scion. Kill the Scion to manifest the standard in one of the 4 standard Leviathan fair symbols: Pools, Dogs, Gauntlet, and Throne Room. Pick it up to put it in your inventory where you can only hold 1 and need 2 to start a damage phase. Hence, the big middle finger to solo Dungeoneers specifically. What's that sound? Oh right. Now that we're in an encounter, being in the Nightmare Realm has even more consequences. Much like the Carbon-14 atom, the Nightmare Realm could now be considered by some to be a bit unstable, and might blow up if you happen to forget its birthday, or your anniversary, or something. Not that I have any experience with that, I'm a content creator, not an isotope scientist. Anyways, if you don't kill more bell keepers and extract yourself using the bell, which will spawn on the opposite side of the arena from them before the timer hits 0, then you'll be spawning back at the start of the encounter faster than you can say that the Red War was an inside job. Okay, so you've gone to the Nightmare Realm, killed the Scion, killed the dogs, claimed the standard, and gotten yourself back out to the real world by standing next to the bell as you're swapping back. Your standard can be placed into the appropriately matching welcome mat like a key to unlock one of the side rooms, which may or may not correspond to where you picked it up in the Nightmare Realm. On top of not being a scientist, I am also not a statistician, but I don't think you need nor care to have those odds spelled out for you. With the door open, you'll find the John Wick Colossus upset with you for killing his dogs who need to be dealt with, and then when you and your fire team are all huddled up behind the doors with Colossus carcasses at your feet, one of you can shoot the bell that you've already killed the bell keepers for and get teleported into the Nightmare side rooms alongside 6 Galron clones ready to pounce on you. Don't let their yellow health bars scare you because they push over pretty easily, and then the side room will open back up into the main one. Once both sides have done this, or once you soloed it twice, Galron will now be damageable until you leave the Nightmare Realm, which is great until you forget that you also need to kill your return bell keepers and actually escape as well, but those are mistakes that you'll hopefully only make 1 or 14 different times. Chew through his health bar like Beard meets food chews through a burrito larger than a baby giraffe, and then you'll be off towards the next jumping puzzle. Now, puzzle is a strong word to describe the experience of mitigating fall risks like you're the OSHA representative for Callus's nursing home. There are retractable coffin stairs with levers in handicap inaccessible locations, ramps so caked in oil that they rival McDonald's fryers, and bells that certainly cause hearing damage when rung up that close. Eventually you'll come up to a back and forth puzzle where the statues will face random directions in the physical world and be silently clockwise rotatable in the nightmare one. Pointing all the cleavers in will unlock the blast doors beneath the plinth and dump you into the next encounter. What would a nightmare mindscape be without the repressed trauma locked away behind all of the wearing heelys to escape your feelies and all of the times that you said it is what it is? The second encounter is exactly that. Turn your attention towards the center dial and you'll see holographic projections of 2 of the symbols. Then if you look around at the outer perimeter of the room, you'll see these rectangular walls which will also have symbols inscribed into their backs like a tramp stamp. You'll want to find where the inner symbols are inscribed in the outer limits, and then remember where that is after the bell keepers give you the runaround, because upon ringing the bell, 4 whole staircases will appear in lieu of the walls which will house the standards that you need to steal. Now, the scores of Cabal and the War Beasts are going to be a little upset that you found their clubhouse and then need to kill every single one of them to summon their boss and capture their flag. It's worth noting that the collapsing nightmare timer will also be present here, and while it seems to be shorter than a 6-foot guy on Tinder, time will be added once you clear out some of the rooms to make a deceptively well-tuned time limit to get things done in. Kill the bellkeepers to summon the bell and then drop your keys into the appropriate locks. Once again, you can only hold one, so if you're playing with friends, you could probably manage to snag both of them in one phase, but if you're playing alone or with some other friendless guardians from the LFG, then you'll probably be doing it more than once. With 2 standards erected, the boss's shield will drop to expose an unshielded health pool vaguely reminiscent of a bag of Lay's chips. That is to say, plenty of show, but not a lot of tell. And when you finish that snack-sized bag of potato chips, well, who's ever stopped at just one small snack bag of potato chips? Sour cream and onion will spawn in next, forcing you to go through the same 2 standard gauntlet, and then after you finish with that one, barbecue will take the stage. Callus, much like your primary health physician, will be begging you to stop, but not even the witness could get between you and that mesquite barbecue goodness. Finish off the last crumbs of the final boss's health bar, and then fall down to your loot chest. Meander down a few more corridors and stop at the Callus jacuzzi from the Lightfall trailer before doing a few more bell teleports. I also managed this fucking wild Shatterskate yo-yo trick, which immediately has me bypassing both my death and res timer. Now I really wanted to figure out if this counted as a death according to the API, but I had literally anything better to do with my time than watch back an hour of Duality footage. So instead I opened it in 6 tabs and set each one to a 10-minute mark and spent the length of a good doom scroll doing it instead. I confirmed each of my Bungie API recorded 11 deaths separate from the Shatterskate one, which means that I did not die here. Anyways, this happened right outside of the boss room, so let's just hop in there. As fan service for the people disappointed that Season of the Chosen ended in clapping cheeks instead of clapping cheeks, Nightmare Keitel is the closest we'll ever get to finishing off that enemy of humanity. Starting out, this arena is the smallest one so far for how little cover it has, rivaling only the size of an Antion's parking lot. You'll need 4 ghostly standards to do a damage phase this time, which A, you can still only do 1 per person per flip into the Nightmare Realm, and B, doesn't guarantee that you do any damage. Start out by clearing the room and finding out which 2 standards you need to collect first. The symbols are also on the walls above these sniper towers, which are really convenient places to switch into the Nightmare Realm from on top of. Do your team a favor and kill the Bellkeepers and down some code red before Baja blasting the brains out of your standard bearer. Ice the Bellkeepers, but leave the other 2 standard bearers alive wire, because while killing the correct standard bearers adds to your time, killing the wrong ones sparks a subtraction from your time, and if the timer hits 0, then it'll all go pitch black. Coincidentally, this was also how timers worked in the previous encounter, but if you misread your symbols, then you probably deserve to die anyway. Bring your standards back out to the main room, and no matter what, even with 3 people, you'll have to go back in at least once more since you can only grab 2 at a time. Figure out which new symbols you need, traipse through the Shirley Temple dimension now that Callus has been combating his alcoholic reliance on this sludgy purple shit, and then deposit those as well. With all 4 standards in place, the chains will light up brighter than Rudolph after someone complimented the size of his big nose, and then it's time to shatter them to release the suspended battering ram into the Bell of Conquest hovering over the whole arena. Keitel and your fire team will get sucked into the Nightmare Realm, where she will make a mad dash for a bell to get herself back out of it. Your task as a fire team is to kill your Bellkeepers and ring the bell before she does, which, counterintuitively, will not take you back to the main world. It will instead stun Keitel where she stands if she's close enough to it. If you fail to ring the bell before Keitel makes the sound, then your damage phase is over. As I'm writing every single spelling of Keitel's name I can think of into my script document, I am so thankful to whomever pointed out that the hive chant Ayat is smack dab in the middle of her name, which, similar to the other Midnight Coup gal Umuna Roth, could have some shady hive implications in the future if we remember to eat our vegetables in spin foil every night. Anyways, stunning her with the bell while she's next to it is all well and good, but you'll be dealing a fraction of the damage you could be doing. To really pump your gains like you've been shoveling protein powder into your mouth with a backhoe, make sure that you're in the bell's radius when you ring it. This will give you waking resonance, which amps your damage for the stun's duration. Keitel will then snap out of her confusion before trying to find another bell to escape through. You'll be able to rinse and repeat this damage phase at all three of the bells before she yoinks you back into the real world to start collecting your double standards again. God, these gender roles taste awful. Who let Shalahan into the kitchen? Scrounge for ammo as you wasted all to silence those godforsaken colossi in the Nightmare Realm, reinitiate the damage phase, and then, congrats. You've completed Duality. Fuck. Go watch a real guy.